Divas or Divas, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. And today I am joined by a true mainstay in pop culture commentary. He's a writer, podcaster, pop culture expert who has been making us laugh on your respective social media platforms for over a decade now and has warmed our millennial spirit with his memoir of essays, Pure Innocent Fun, that came out last year. So make sure to go check that out. Ira Madison III is here. I'm so happy to have you. Ira, welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into so much today. There's truly so much going on to talk about, and I feel like most people turn to your threads, your Twitter, your Instagram to see what you're talking about. So I'm happy to have you here. Before we get, we got to talk Summer House, and we're gonna talk Atlanta a little bit. But outside of Bravo, like, is there anything that you're loving content wise that you can't get enough of in these terrible times?
I'm honestly not watching any reality stuff besides Bravo.
Yeah,
that's untrue. I watched Secret Millionaire on Netflix because I kind of
loved Secret Millionaire.
I kind of liked the last season, but I thought it could have been better. And then I thought this season was better until about like the last two episodes where everyone interesting was like cut from the show, and I still haven't finished it. So.
Yeah, guys, Secret Millionaire, if you haven't heard of it, it's a Netflix show that essentially is the better version of Traitors game-wise. Not like production-wise. I think...
No, the rules make sense.
Yeah, right. Because the Traitors rules, sometimes I want to hold Traitors fans' hands and be like, baby, no. These rules don't make sense. Like, the path to victory is so diluted. But Secret Millionaire, the premise, guys, is like every week... The traitor, well, not every week, I guess, but the traitors, if you will, change throughout the game. So people's alliances and paranoia kind of shift and intensify. So yeah, it's on Netflix. But I agree. I haven't finished this current season, but I do like the structure of it a little bit better.
Yeah, I think the casting isn't as fun. It's Netflix. Unfortunately, the casting for Netflix shows tends to be really bad.
Yeah.
The casting, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's not Traitors level, you know?
No,
I don't know who does the casting for Netflix shows, but they are really not good, outside of maybe original Love is Blind for people, but I don't watch Love is Blind. I only watched the first season ever. So, yeah, the cast isn't great, but it is fun. I do think the rules swing a bit too hard in the opposite way of Traitors. It's, you know, it's impossible to win if you're faithful practically. The power is all in the faithful's hands. But for Secret Millionaire, like the secret millionaire, the person who has the money, you know, in their chest, secretly from the rest of the house, they have to complete tasks, you know, to keep it or to have like a special power, but there's also punishments if they don't complete it. And I think some of the tasks were a little ridiculous this season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's if you guys are you watching Survivor? That
I love Survivor. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I left out Survivor. Survivor is just sort of like
a mainstay. Yeah, it's just there.
Survivor is a regular for me, so it's just there.
Yeah,
it's, you know, always watching.
But it's like on not this current season, they haven't really done it, but on the other seasons where they had to like say a random phrase and it got them, it activated it. Like Secret Millionaire is doing similar things, but yeah, it's a little difficult. Wait, because Survivor 50 I go mix on. Like sometimes
I love it.
I liking most of it. Jeff just bothers me. He's just been bothering me lately, and
well, that's for like over a decade, so you got to get over that.
I know. I try to. I just like I get nervous when I don't know. He bothers me. I don't know why. I need to just get over it because I watched Australian Survivor, so much of that, and that host, I'm forgetting his name.
Australian Survivor is amazing,
fantastic.
Jonathan LaPaglia, but he's gone now, so. The Golden God David is the host. And I thought he became a great host like halfway through once he found his, you know, Survivor legs.
Yeah, his swag a little bit. Yeah.
But this season was sort of all over the place of Australian Survivor. So I've actually been enjoying Survivor 50 more.
Yeah. They've kept Suri so much longer than I ever thought she'd make it. So that's a win. That's a win for all parties.
I mean, she's really good at the game and insulated, you know, and I think that it's a combination of everyone wanting to play with her toward the end, thinking that they can beat her in the end. And then also, one thing I always say about these competition shows, especially returning players, they know how to produce a TV show the same way that a housewife does. I think that sometimes people get it big in their heads that they want to have a resume building moment and be like, I'm going to be the person who kicks out Suri. But then you have to remember that the other people want to be the people who beat Suri too. So they're, one, not going to just give that move to you. And two, producers in the way that housewives are, in that they know there's an audience watching the show. They want to make a good show for the audience. I think old school players in particular have that innate sense more so than the new school players. And except for like a Rizzo, who I think that he's really good at making TV. Yeah. Do you want to be the player who gets rid of Suri like in episode 3, and then the viewers are annoyed with you for the rest of the season, and then also finds the rest of the season to be bad?
Right. That can't be on your shoulders. But I think it's but I do think that old players aren't trying to. They're trying to work with the audience in terms of, like you're saying, making good TV, where new players are trying to just perform for the audience to be on their best behavior.
New players are trying to perform.
Yeah,
to be on their best behavior. They're trying to perform. And also the old players sort of, when they form an alliance, they sort of stick with it, Like that's the move for older players. You stick with your alliance. And it's the newer players that sort of switch allegiances every week, And that's been to the detriment of all the newer players, because I feel like there are only 3 left.
Yeah.
It's
Emily left last week.
So there's Jonathan. There's Jonathan, Rizzo, and Joe.
Mm-hmm. Who Joe?
That's it. Right?
What a roller coaster for me with Joe, because Joe, I loved him and his first.
He exhausts me.
Well, I loved
you
him.
Did?
No. I loved him initially on his first season, where he was being nurturing to what's her face. And then I became instantly freaked the fuck out by them. And then
it was the sobbing, the crying. It was so creepy. I'm sorry, it was just weird.
It was weird, y'all. We can be honest about that.
This season, I was liking him.
Yeah, me too.
This season, I was liking him, and then all of a sudden, he just becomes unbearable.
Yeah,
it's funny. His when Suri said he was living at 500 Hypocrisy Lane, It's very weird. It seems like he'd be an exhausting person to play the game with.
Because he plays like no lies Survivor, where it's like Survivor's lying. Like,
yes, but he lies.
Right, I know. Like, you don't seem to get the game here at hand. Well, let's dive into some Bravo stuff. So last night we had Baddies Montauk hit, and it was crazy crazy to see our Kyle and Carlito fight. There's so much to dive into in this episode. Before we get to like the nitty gritty of what went down in the episode, what's your like general thoughts on everything going down in the Summer House universe? Has it exhausted you? Are you still enthralled by it? And whose side are you on?
I'm on this TV show side, as I've always said. And I wrote a piece about it for my newsletter, Frank. I just think that people get a bit too invested in Bravo characters to the point where they either find them to be an avatar for themselves and they're living vicariously through them, and they sort of forget that it's a TV show where you're supposed to be creating drama, etc. And so people get like really high and mighty about characters when these are characters, when they're doing something bad, or they do something that they don't like, or they do something to a fave of theirs. So, obviously I'm Team Sierra in all of this, in all of the extracurricular drama, But in terms of the current show, I love that Lindsay activated this fight. I love that Carl was, got hood.
The Pittsburgh came out.
Jumping into this fight was so. It's so funny. I mean, you made the baddies joke, but it feels very much like a character like on one of those shows. It's like, you've just respected me, so now I'm just like stomping around saying, I'm gonna beat his ass. That was Carl's move. Kyle obviously needs to get his anger issues and drinking in check, but I can see how Amanda is manipulative as well, And so I think you can be on everyone's side, and it's hard to, except Wes. West's behavior this week was actually like wild. And aside from even the affair with Amanda, if the affair from Amanda had never even happened or come out at the reunion, if I were Kyle, I would have a lot to say to West about his how intimate he was with my wife this episode.
Yeah, there's things that feel more intimate. I don't know if it's just because like we're gay and like gays just be out here doing things with each other, but like the intimacy of like holding and kissing and whispering and like that feels almost more intimate to me than like a base sexual encounter sometimes. Like he's really
It does.
he is like protecting her like she is his, and it's so frightening.
Yeah. It is. I think the protection, like she's his, is exactly the point. I mean, moving the chair next to her was during the fight was out of this world. Why are you placing yourself in the middle of their marriage? And then you had the hugging, the kissing her neck. It was crazy. And yes, obviously, you know, as gay men, we have a different level of intimacy with one another. It's like, but these are different rules, you know? Like, you're straight people. Yeah. This is the world you're living in. There's not a baseline that has been created where this is allowed, you know? It'd be different if it was a gay show, you know? Like, I would probably have, like, you know, I've had moments, you know, where, like, you hug closely or, like a friend's partner or something because you're friends with them, you know? We have different relationships that have already been established, though.
Yes, absolutely.
This wasn't established, and I thought that West's behavior was out of control. It's because I can make a case for Lindsay. I can make the case for Carl, because Lindsay, I've always loved Lindsay, for the record.
Of course, she's a star.
And I love Mother Hubbard. She's a star. But let's also remember the fact that when Lindsay and Carl's relationship was imploding, and in all of her previous relationships, the entire house was always involved, and Kyle especially was nasty to her last season. He was really nasty to her. Yeah. Or maybe 2 seasons ago. 2 seasons ago was the
It was when they
breakup.
got when
I keep feeling it was
when Lindsay and Carl got together.
Feeling like it was last year. Yeah, and when they were breaking up. No.
Oh, yes,
I keep
yes.
feeling like that was last year, but last year was the I'm pregnant with Gemma season, you know. But Kyle was nasty to Lindsay, and this is Lindsay getting her lick back.
She's like, I called a babysitter. It's time to get my lick back.
Right. She's also just like, let's get these people a show.
It is so funny too, because after everything goes down, she's literally like, wait, was this me? She's like, she's literally walking around the house being like, this is not what I meant. And it's like, well, I think you did mean kind of to do this, but I support your reality TV behavior.
Yeah, of course. And we expected it from Kyle. I feel like they could have done a montage of every time Kyle has blown up at a dinner.
The crash outs never stop with him. Yeah. And
the only one I approved of was the one versus Hannah. You remember the one where Hannah and Paige were just like chuckling at the end of the table, trying to pretend like we're just talking to each other as friends. I could not stand
the origin of Giggly Squad, shockingly. Like,
oh yeah.
Literally. It's I feel like they have obviously transcended the show in their own right, like, and that show is more, Giggly Squad is more than any Bravo, is bigger than Bravo Summer House. But like, I do think listeners of that show may not understand that the origin of that show and its title come out of a scene in East Hampton where Kyle was like yelling at them for being annoying.
Okay. He's their A&R, run him his bread, as Cardi B would say.
It's like Luann asking for, you know, a steak and Skinny Girl. But I loved that we never see Carl and Kyle, like, I don't know, just seeing them so close to one another, you forget that Carl is approximately twice Kyle's size. Seeing them like being like in each other's faces, and Carl's like looking down at them.
I love how straight men fight, because the insults to each other, like Carl just saying you're a fucking loser, and Kyle responding, "You 6'5" motherfucker." That was so funny to me.
It's like he just took bait, like he just looked at him and was like, "You're 6'5" and you suck." Like they just don't have any creativity, but also it's hilarious. It's like base, but hilarious.
Well, I mean, Vagisil was hilarious to me, too. That was creative. But I love the implication that Carl shouldn't be fighting with Kyle because he's so fucking tall. Like, that's funny to me.
No. And Carl seems like he would lay a hand where Kyle is all talk.
Oh, absolutely. Kyle's not fighting with anybody. Carl wanted to swing. Carl wanted to swing. That's why that's why the boys in the house stopped Carl. They know that Carl would kick Kyle's ass. And what's so interesting is I wonder what that would mean on the show.
Yeah.
If it had happened, because this isn't Housewives.
Right.
But I think there would be a specific rule, like if he had hit Kyle or whatever. But I feel like they would have gotten over it if he hit him, So
yeah, they were crying and bracing.
Would he have been banned for an episode? Would he, etc. Like I just wonder about the specifics of that.
Well,
I'm thinking of
Bravo has
Kenya.
I say Bravo has an interesting relationship with the boundaries on physical violence, because some people get banished forever and some people get to come back 2 episodes later, and oftentimes those are white women that get to return 2 episodes later, like Stassi after beating the shit out of Kristen in season 2 of Vanderpump Rules. But in that show it worked. Like it worked in the ways that that just felt like within the rules of that show that they could hit each other because they were just all hitting on each other, Jackson, James, like all of that. Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know.
No one's going to sue anyone on that show because the producers know the cast of Vanderpump Rules was broke at the time. Who are they going to lawyer up?
Yeah.
Was Kristen going to lawyer up?
I know. And I don't think that Carl and Kyle would have ever lawyered up on each other for laying hands.
But Kyle is not Lisa Barlow, okay? I think he has one lawyer dealing with the divorce, another one dealing with another lawyer dealing with the lover boy shit. I don't think that he can afford a third lawyer in his life.
Did you see he was doing some interview where he revealed all the amounts of money that he owes? Did you see that? I didn't dive into the actual numbers, but it was actually kind of large. I didn't really understand that's where we're at.
Yeah. Is this bankruptcy summer on Bravo?
Should I file?
I just feel like he's giving me Pinky call because you can't go Pinky's now even making Miss Rachel internet content. Did you see the one where she parodied Miss Rachel singing about bankruptcy? I'm like, baby girl, you're leaning a bit into this too much.
I know, because in the end, there is court and lawyers involved with the bankruptcy, and they're watching your content at this point.
They're watching it.
Girl, don't make money off of bankruptcy. I would say maybe just be quiet.
Right, because if I were the judge, then I'd be like, well, let's have a conversation about this income.
Yeah, where's this money going? Because you do owe us some money, so. But they recover so quickly, which is kind of sweet. And in the end, I do end up being on team Kyle in terms of what happened at the dinner, because I think
they ganged up on him.
I think they ganged up. And Amanda was acting crazy.
It was a little outrageous. Yeah. It was a little outrageous for everyone to be so involved. And I feel like everyone felt that way afterward, because when you notice how when he told people that it was stemming from the conversation with Sierra, where Sierra said, "Oh, maybe he and Amanda should separate for a bit." You notice how everyone was like, "Oh, I get it."
They're like, "Oh yeah."
They got while he flew off the handle. Now they're like, "Oh yeah, of course, of course you did."
Yeah, she sucks. I get it. Actually, this all kind of makes sense now.
It's so interesting watching this because people keep talking back and forth, obviously, whether this is bigger or worse than Scandal, and I still think that Scandal was bigger in its ripple effect, with these people's lives, with his behavior, with it happening in the house, etc. But it's also just weird that that happened after the season was like sort of already ending for us, and they had to pick back up cameras. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's weird for this to have happened before the reunion films, and to then have to watch the entire season. Like this news dropped like beginning of the season,
Right. We
so
had like
so I
more
have to
than
watch
half.
this whole season, and to know that we also have to watch In the City too. It's like a whole year of film stuff that we're looking for the clues in, which just makes it weirder. And
I
I
also
don't know, not
I
just the
do
West of it all.
I do think that like what makes it I feel like Scandival's culture impact is significantly larger, but I do think this like from viewership, the viewers themselves who like didn't who have watched the show forever feel a little bit more hurt by everything that went down because I think we felt like we knew these people better and felt like
Yeah,
they were a
there's
little bit
also
better
the racial
people.
element.
Yeah, well that too. Yeah.
They felt like better people. There's the racial element with Sierra, but I would posit that you pinpointed that correctly with the bigger cultural impact for Scandival, because at the end of the day, like Vanderpump Rules was a very high rated TV show on Bravo.
Yeah.
People already knew what this show was. It had broken through many times before this. Summer House was still a C-level Bravo show when this season was starting. You tried to tell people to watch Summer House and they'd be like, "What?" Like the amount of people who've joined in with wanting to watch Summer House because of this is a different beast.
Completely.
It's maybe akin to Salt Lake City in season 2 when the Jen stuff happened, and then everyone was like, "Oh, we're tuning in."
Yeah, because season 1 of Salt Lake City was great for those that watched it, but like it didn't have like a fan base like it does now because of Jen's impact. And I hate to give Jen anything, but she did bring eyes onto that show. But well, a couple moments between West and Amanda just throughout. So we have like, there's that scene of that group that is crazy. Someone online kind of like mapped it out, right? Where it was like West is holding Amanda and like whispering something in her ear that we did not get. Amanda is choking Kyle out.
Illicit nothings.
Yeah, I know. And Sierra's off in the corner. I'm like, this is a crazy shot that we have here because all of these people are entangled in disaster. And what is just Wes like whispering in Amanda's ear so the cameras can't see it. He knows that the camera can't see that. Like, I don't know. I just think they're up to some
He's
shady, nasty work.
He's nasty. I don't get into the conspiracy theories. I don't believe that they were fucking.
I don't
men,
either.
But I would absolutely believe that they're both getting off on, like, it was something like, now people will see him for how he really is. You know, it's something like that. You know?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, my grand theory about Amanda that I've said here on the show is that like I just think she is a serial like emotional cheater, probably because she maybe hasn't been receiving certain emotional needs in her relationship. I mean, Kyle revealed in this episode they had had sex for 7 years,
which is crazy to me, but also makes sense because we never saw it happen on camera either.
Yeah, I know.
First of all, he'd get home when she was already asleep, so it could never happen on Summer House. And yeah, I don't know. I compared it yesterday on Threads to Melrose Place.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is for your older listeners, but there was a character named but the people who don't know, Melrose Place had a character at its censor named Michael Mancini, and he was married to Jane. And Michael is a doctor, and they seem to have like a lovely relationship, a lovely marriage, until he just basically becomes like a cad and a bastard, as Heather Locklear would call him every week. He had an affair with one of his colleagues, Kimberly, and then divorced Jane, etc. But he still managed to stay in her good graces a little bit afterward, which is where comparing Jane to Sierra comes in, because Sierra stayed in his orbit a little too long. Mm-hmm. Luckily, she's out of it. God. But then Jane's sister, Sydney, comes to live with them, and Sydney is Amanda. And this is a woman who is just emotionally needy, needs to like be validated by a man in a relationship, and she's seen exactly how her sister Jane was treated by this man, but it becomes her that she betrays her sister by like making this her new conquest and wanting to be in a relationship with Michael, and then they get in one, and then it's disastrous for her.
And then the one guy calls the other guy a 6'5" motherfucker, and then there's whispering in the ears. You know, soap operas. I grew up like not on soap operas, and it's like not something I feel like I can go back and totally dive into. But it's such a touchstone for so many people like our age, and I think it was like just growing up. I didn't turn on the TV at that time every day. I don't know what I was doing, but like maybe just playing video games or something.
Well, maybe your parents had to be watching too, or a babysitter or something. I was watching. I still watch Days of Our Lives, obviously, to this day. I talk about it all the time. But I don't know. I think there's an essay by Camille Paglia, if people want to read on the Bravo website. She wrote "This Is Why I Love the Housewives" or something like what that was the title. But she used to talk a lot in the 90s about Young and the Restless and soap operas and how they just, you know, got like sex and sleaze and human emotion and were descended from, you know, the great women's pictures of the 20s and 30s and 40s, you know, like Cirque melodramas. And she wrote about how Housewives sort of took that over, you know? If you really watch the shows for a psychological bent, you know, she explained that like Candy on Real Housewives is a woman who had been, you know, trying to be liberated from her mother for years, you know? That's very soap operatic. You know, you have Vicky or Tamra, you know, the scrappy business women who fly off the handle in defense of their men or their relationships, you know? It's Karen Huger, the years-long alcoholism and trying to keep up with appearances, etc. You know, it's like this is soap opera. And Summer House was less daytime soap opera and more, like I said, Melrose Place, because the whole appeal of Melrose Place was this young group that has relationships that are very intimate with their friends, and they love one another, and then all of a sudden, like, affairs and things blow up the relationship. And there's a lot of bed hopping. And like I said, when this West thing was first just a rumor, and before I knew just how nasty it would all get, I at first admit that I was like unfazed by the potential of it, because, like I said, Carl was passed around like a blunt, like for seasons on this show.
Truly.
What woman on the show like hadn't fucked Carl?
Yeah. It's what makes this so much worse is just the girlfriend betrayal, like, and then the girlfriend betrayal, the racial element, and then that West has just been seemingly playing in all of our faces. You know, I
and the secretiveness of it too.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference when Carl was being passed around. As I said, it was very out in the open. It's very much it's the same thing with like a Jesse Solomon when he was pursuing Sierra. Even that felt more in line with the rules of the show that were established. You know, you're talking with West about, can I pursue her, etc. If they had started a relationship, would I've liked it? No, because Jesse Solomon. Would I've loved it? Absolutely not. But it would have made sense, you know? This was secretive, and then it's the element of you're lying to Sierra. It's the element of the marriage between Kyle and all, and just the knowledge that they were sneaking around and lying to each other and lying to the media, and they had to be smoked out, as it was said in that leaked audio. Yeah. That is what makes it so bad, whereas they could have been a lot more upfront about it.
Yeah,
and obviously West is the worst because you watch this season, right? And it's obvious he's manipulating Sierra. This episode made it very obvious he's manipulating Sierra. He gets uncomfortable every time anyone even brings up her name.
Yeah, when they were joking about like all staying in that room together after they went out, he was visibly uncomfortable that Jesse was like initiating them sleeping in the same bed that night. Like he doesn't want to be with her, and it's so
he's hitting on Dara. Yeah. This very episode.
Yeah, yuck.
He's a sleaze. He's a hoe.
He is a hoe. A ho. I mean, truly, he's a mess. Also, I'm sorry. Like, I can't. My last thing about him, he plays. I've said this before. I think he's one of the more dangerous types of fuckboys because he knows how to talk to women. Like, he knows how to listen to women, ask them questions. I also think he somehow learned along the lines that like aligning himself And maybe, and I hope that he does really believe this, but like aligning himself with democratic politics, like liberal politics, I think he's using it as a
Black
way to
people at Complex.
endearing himself to these communities to then just still be a fuckboy who uses them. Like, I don't know. It just all is really gross to me.
He's on that podcast with that right wing girl.
She's a mess. MAGA Barbie in the WNBA.
Right. And he works at Complex and dresses like a wigga. But does he have any black friends? Have we seen Wes with black people?
No. Allegedly KJ, I don't think they were actually friends though, outside of the show. Like he says he brought him in.
KJ feels betrayed, but I don't buy it. It's not Shamia and Portia. You know,
Yeah.
it's giving, you know, like a housewife is someone comes on as friend of, and then
And then they immediately take them down.
Me?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, let's get into Atlanta. What are you thinking about the season of Atlanta so far?
I'm enjoying it.
I agree.
I'm really, really enjoying it. I think it's funny. I think it feels in a lot of ways, a return to form. I do find that there's not... Angela's supposed to be the anchor this season, obviously, but I don't think there's enough of an anchor. I don't think there's enough meat on the bones of the story to really make it feel like it is Housewives to me. I think my main problem is the editing on the show. I think that the show is moving entirely too fast. I think that the narrative is jumbled. It's as if they cut the episode order and just needed to like this past episode, right? 2 weeks ago, where the fight happened between Angela and Pinky. Amazing, right? The fight for me came too early because you're spending the entire episode with flashbacks to things that happened on the way to the trip, things that happened at the trip, like the previous night or that morning, and
right.
It just felt that like it's why are we flashing back to something that happened like 2 hours ago? Like we should have seen these scenes happen, you know? I feel like when you think of a classic Housewives trip, you see them on the plane, you see them landing, you see them getting to the house, you see things boiling over, and then maybe hints of the fight happen in the end of the episode to tease the next one. It just seemed that the editors don't trust the content and trust like the viewers taking their time with the story, and so they're rushing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like usually this fight would barrel right towards that end credit scene, and then we would get like a couple more reads next week or something like that. But instead they let the whole thing air out, you know. And
even the premiere
the
episode brought all of these women together, threw them at a dinner in Portia's empty house, and they're fighting immediately. And we didn't even get to meet K. Michelle or Pinky. We met K. Michelle a bit before, but we didn't even meet Pinky. She first appeared at the dinner, and that's not how you introduce new housewives or start a new season. You need to sort of mix them into the group let us get to know the characters. Salt Lake City recovered from this problem, but they had that problem in their premiere last season. You recall the season started off rockily because the premiere I thought was horrible.
So
you
weird. They've been camping
all in that RV, and it just felt so disjointed. It's like trust us to get used to the characters and have fun.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also this cast is packed with a large group of women, which I always like when we have a big cast. There's enough women there to sustain enough story to like move at a slower pace. Like we're not operating with the ladies of Beverly Hills where we do need some quippy editing. Let's swap editors.
And Atlanta, yeah. Atlanta has also always been the show that just like New York, original New York at least, was you could move at a slower pace in episodes because the women themselves are so funny. Like Atlanta and Roni were always more comedies, like comedies of manners, than the other Housewives shows were, where those were more like dramatic and soap operatic. Like you could put any of the women from Atlanta, any of the women from Roni, just into a scene with each other. Like they could be at lunch, they could be ordering lunch, they could be going on a walk, they could be at the gym, and you're going to be cracking up from the jokes, the shade, etc.
Yeah, no, these women can carry this show well, and I agree. I do think the producers and editors and everyone needs to trust it a little bit more. But I really do agree with what you're saying about the anchor. I watching the show, I do feel we're missing one ingredient, or we're missing someone, or we're missing, and I'm not saying Nene is the answer, but I don't think that like Portia and Phaedra are solid anchor holders, because they are.
Portia is not, because she's a liar.
Well, and so is her bestie Phaedra.
So is Phaedra. So is Phaedra. But Portia's a liar who gives you fake things on camera.
Yeah.
And Phaedra is the liar who now just completely has pivoted away from sharing any of her personal life on the show.
None.
Like, she should be a friend of the way she just ooh-chiles and makes jokes in scenes and like gives you funny confessionals. But what do we know about her this season at all? You know, I think that I'm interested in Nene coming back, obviously. I love Nene.
Of course.
She's one of my favorite housewives ever. And she is truly the gold standard, which is why I'm excited to see her on the girls trip and then possibly see her integrated back in to the show. But I do think that fans forget that we needed some time off from Nene, because Nene's last few seasons on the show, she wasn't playing ball. She wasn't a good anchor. She actively did not seem to be wanting to film the show, etc. So, yeah, I think we really do need someone whose personal story we're following, someone who is just like sharing their lives with the other women a bit more.
Yeah.
Angela, it works. We have her family stuff, but you know, we need more than just her to carry the show at this point, you know? And Portia is to the detriment of the show as a lead. Kelly was a bit funny at the beginning of this season, but now I'm over her. She seems like a fan. Throwing out Portia, throwing out tidbits from Portia's memoir. It's like, what are we learning from you? And she's a confessional gangster, which I hate. Everything she says about the women is in the confessional.
Yes, never to their faces. Yeah. Well, back to Nene, though, one thing I want to remind people of that I do think we forget about Nene is that her legacy has lived on through memes. Obviously, at this point, most people know her through internet culture that maybe didn't know her from watching the show. But I do think people forget that outside of her memeable moments, she was incredibly authentic about her life with her family, her divorce with Greg's health issues. Like that really is
her son when he was arrested, right. Her son getting another girl pregnant.
Right.
Like she shared everything with us.
Yeah, and I do think that legacy is forgotten a little bit and disrespected because we just, love to hear about bling bling bling, bitches are mad, and white refrigerators. But which those are amazing moments, but we do need that sort of grounding presence. I do think K. Michelle, once she's a little more comfortable, has her and Angela together could hold down that center peach, because Kay's coming in.
Liking it.
Kay's coming in really, really great.
I like Kay. She has a few stumbles, obviously, but I really do like her. I loved her on Love and Hip Hop. She shared a lot of her life then too. She's abrasive, and I liked her post. Do you see her recent post where she said, "I'm friends with all these ladies. I've never had female friends really before, and so this is new for her, and I like her discovering this." She also managed to mention everyone in the cast but Drew, which I think was so funny, because if you're also going to be an anchor like that, like, you need a sustained feud, and her versus Drew is funny to me.
It's hilarious because it's such a mismatch, because Kay can take Drew out in any conversation, any room, any battle. So it's just so funny to me that Drew picked a battle with her, and seemingly their fight, I think what their general fight is going to be about is this relationship with Black, which is so bizarre to me because in the news before the show was coming out, we were getting all these clips about Kay, being supporters of beginner artists, and we thought it was going to be a music feud, but it's not a music feud at all. Seemingly it's about this guy that just slides into Kay's DMs, I guess. I don't know.
It's so funny to me, but I also love Drew. I'm sorry, I do. I really enjoy
me too.
her. Yeah.
Wait, so are you watching Rhode Island at all?
Of course I'm watching Rhode Island, and when you talk about the authenticity in a show, this show has it. This show has that feel of early Housewives where you're, first of all, I love that we're back into an insular community.
Agreed.
You know, these people have known each other for years, and all of them except for Ashley, who used to be the Bachelorette. You know, like she's the only one who feels like influencer type, like younger, like I want to be famous for being famous, etc. But the rest of them are just these older women living their lives, and that's what we watched Housewives for. You know, that's why it used to be compared to soap operas, because it was, you were watching these people's journeys in an interconnected community. You know,
yeah, and them staying at this haunted wedding venue. I mean, I can't.
Okay, I'm behind. I am behind. I only got up to the fight on the yacht.
Great. I mean, there's so much there, but they end up going on a cast trip, quote unquote, to a castle, quote unquote, that one of my good friends, Dom, got married at. It's a wedding venue. It's not a home. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I'm hoping Bravo is catching on. I mean, they seem to be, because we went from Salt Lake City to Rhode Island about these insular worlds. That is infinitely more fascinating than casting a large net over like these big metropolitan cities. Because in New York is a big city. Obviously, we live here, but New York. The reason New York works so well is because it was an insular community. It was the Upper East Side. It was the Upper East Side, and it was, you know, these women were trying to be important and trying to be socialized, but obviously they were on the outside of that world quite a bit. I've heard good things about Roni, but the upcoming season, but I still think it lacks even with what I've heard, an insular community. That's why Summer House works. Yeah. You know, like these people are actually friends. In the City, I hope will work because they're actual friends. Next Gen worked because like these kids came from the same world. I love Next Gen NYC. I cannot wait for season 2. I'm so excited, and I think it's really an interesting pivot to be like, we're just going to talk about how the fact we're all famous now. It is funny because like they're making that, the trailer just dropped, and the trailer is very much about them being like, wait, I'm a reality star. What should I do as a reality star? It's almost like like that. What's it's meta, but it's meta, but it works. The acknowledgement, I think, because it's the acknowledgement of that we are from shows, like sort of. Some of us are famous-ish already because of the network we're on the show. Like it worked for the initial season. The only one I really cared about of like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives too. You know, I love that it acknowledged that these people were TikTok stars, that they were doing the work. You're seeing them actually doing the work. I think there's a difference in seeing people do the work than when the Roni reboot happened, and you could see people trying to become famous from it and trying to turn their lives into influencing, as opposed to, no, I'm already in this world and you're seeing how I am operating in it. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And yeah, y'all, I don't know if you saw, but Martha Stewart, I guess, filmed a scene for Roni, which I'm kind of like, huh? I mean, well, I put that on Threads a minute ago, but no one listened to me. I said, word on the street is that Martha Stewart is going to film. And then look at that, it happened. You know what? Something else you put on Threads, which it was making the rounds, is a little Amanda Petula tea. I did. I talked about that on Gibson's podcast this week too, and then I got in a little skirmish with Dumois. Not skirmish, but Dumois had some fake tea. Yeah, crazy. They had some fake tea about, I posted that Amanda Petula came to my friend's birthday party, and they had some fake tea about how Amanda Petula showed up. She was abusing the open bar. They pretended that my friend's boyfriend was the one who sent in this tea, etc. But it was wordly written where it was like a gay's birthday party. Like, no gay man wrote this, so that was a little silly. Well, and what's weird though about them though is the rumor is that they're very good friends with Amanda. So I don't know how that plays into that at all necessarily, but like I've heard before that one of them, because it's two girls, one of them is very close with Amanda. So, because they were getting a lot of critiques in the beginning of everything that was going down because they weren't really posting anything negative any negative tense about Amanda. It was all West coded, all Sierra, all Kyle, and she felt a little bit protected. And I guess it's a well-known secret that the two of them are buddy. So I
maybe they're trying to smoke screen with that post. You know, be like, oh, here's a post about how Amanda was drunk and this happened, but I don't know, it fell flat.
Well, Dumas. Oh well. We don't need to I don't need to sit here and trash them, but I don't know. They move shadily. I don't always understand the antics.
Well, the Summer House cast is always fighting with them every other week, right? Saying that's not true. Actually, that's not true, Ellen.
Yeah, Lindsay's always saying that's not true, Ellen, in these comments. What about Lindsay wearing a bright red dress to the pastel reunion?
Listen, Leo season never dies.
Never dies, darling.
Wake it up. She woke it up. That's classic Lindsay.
She did. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of this, Ira. This has been such a wonderful little Bravo chat. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no, it was nice to chat about these shows for a minute.
Yeah. Tell everyone where they can follow you, where they can get your book, and any other projects you got coming up.
My book is available wherever you get books. It's on audiobook. It's in stores. It's on bookshop.com. We don't need to use Amazon.
No, ma'am.
No. And my Substack is iramadison.substack.com. It's called Frank. I write takes about culture there and sometimes a lot of takes about Bravo. And just follow me on Instagram at Ira the Third. And that's it.
Yeah. And guys, if you want an early access ad-free version of the show, do subscribe over to the Patreon at patreon.com/dumpsterdivepod. And we will be back next week with some more mess. I'm sure something will unfold in the news outlets by the time this comes out. Ira, thanks for being here. Bye, y'all.